Greetings, my name is Chamomile and this is an exploration of the entire galaxy sector by sector. Today, we're looking at the Antemeridian sector in 12th Cerulean Spear Command. If you've heard of the Antemeridian sector, it's probably from old news reports about the immediate aftermath of the Galactic Civil War. After the Imperial defeat at Jakku, it was pretty much every Moff for himself. The 6th Black Sword and 1st Azure Hammer that guarded the path into Coruscant and Coruscant itself were the main source of the Star Destroyers that just got blown up at Jakku, so those guys surrendered and the Rebel fleet flew in to establish the New Republic without any further conflict. With no central government left to give commands and a population of oppressed peoples who couldn't wait to lynch Imperial officers, the Moffs and Grand Moffs were desperate for either New Republic protection from their own rebellious populations, or else to maintain control as an Imperial remnant. These Imperial remnants, much like the CIS holdouts at the end of the Clone Wars, were politically aligned but economically and militarily cut off from one another, which means if the New Republic came after one remnant, that remnant was on their own. None of the other remnants would be coming to provide backup. That's why the remnants liked to hold together entire oversector commands if they could, and the outer rim oversectors like 12th Cerulean Spear were in a position to do so. They controlled space that the New Republic was comparatively less interested in, and Mon Mothma was making a lot of noise about peace and reconciliation. She wanted to distance the New Republic from the rise of the Empire, when campaigns of subjugation against separatist holdout worlds were used to justify a lot of atrocities against outer rim worlds, most infamously the sterilization of Geonosis. Maldruud Oversector, the official name of 12th Cerulean Spear after the Clone Wars, officially declared themselves the nation of Greater Maldruud, and tried to position itself as a sovereign power, politically aligned with other Imperial remnants but not a direct successor to the Empire. Greater Maldruud's problem is that their territory included Kashyyyk, Republic loyalists in the Clone Wars who suffered under brutal oppression under the Empire, and Mon Calamari, homeworld of freshly minted New Republic war hero Admiral Ackbar. The odds they would be able to retain control of Kashyyyk's Mitranor sector or Mon Calamari space were basically nil, which put them at risk of ending up like 14th Red Tails or 15th Hook Nebula, who had completely dissolved into independent systems and New Republic enclaves because they had failed to put down the wave of local rebellions that ensued after the death of the Emperor. Greater Maldruud could retreat from Mitranor as a show of goodwill, but all of their most prosperous and powerful sectors lay in between the core and Mon Calamari space at the fringe of dark space, so they had to simultaneously permit free movement between the core and Mon Calamari space as a New Republic enclave, while still showing enough strength to keep any of their other sectors from defecting. The Antemeridian sector was Cerulean Spear's border on the outer rim, directly rimwards from the mid-rim Maldruud sector, the nominal capital of Greater Maldruud, so this was the sector that Cerulean Spear needed to retain control of if they wanted to present a united Outer Rim stronghold that would require major fleet action to crack, the kind of major fleet action that Mon Mothma was loudly declaring an end to. And Antemeridian's Moff Kateles had decreed the sentient Ranat species of rat people to be semi-sentient, the Imperial's standard tactic for stripping sentient rights away. After that decree, the Ranats were totally exterminated from their homeworld on Rydar II, and people on planet Aralia had begun hunting Ranat colonies for sport and bounties to clear the way for construction of, no joke, an amusement park. As obscene as it is to conduct genocide for the sake of a theme park, the Imperials needed to keep Aralia from being associated with Stormtrooper legions or orbital bombardment. The park's audience was primarily Imperial supporters who thrived under the Empire and loved Star Destroyers and Stormtroopers, but that doesn't mean they were going to go on vacation to an active war zone, so this meant the Ranat genocide had to be kept much lower key on Aralia than on the Ranat homeworld of Rydar II. The Ranats hid in sewers and burrows for a while, so long that the theme park completed construction and began operation. Aralia is in the outer rim, but it's not far from the Perlemian trade route, so it gets decent traffic from the inner rim and core. Eventually, the Ranats raided one of the theme parks for hostages from the inner rim and core to try and negotiate a division of territory on the planet, but this was a good 20 years into the Imperial era, so of course the Empire just flooded the world with stormtroopers until the Ranats were hunted down almost to extinction. Now that Aralia's reputation as a peaceful resort world was already shattered, there was no practical reason not to use maximum force, and of course, Imperials don't care about humanitarian concerns. Every Imperial Moff has some kind of skeletons in their closet, but genocide in the name of a theme park is the kind of crime that even Mon Mothma isn't going to let slide, so Moff Kateles was ride or die for Greater Maldruud. And then Moff Xerix of the Meridian sector next door surrendered to the New Republic. Moff Xerix was pretty firmly committed to the Imperial ideal of being a more disciplined regime for a more chaotic galaxy focused on law and order. He had plenty of sentient right violations to his name, but he also oversaw a genuine crackdown on Hutt racketeering in the sector. He was exactly the kind of mixed bag Imperial that Mon Mothma loved to make deals with, and his Meridian sector was smack in the middle of Greater Maldrude. If Meridian Sector defected to the New Republic, then the entirety of Greater Maldrude could come crumbling down just like 14th Red Tails and 15th Hook Nebula had dissolved into independent systems after their Grand Moffs failed to put down defectors and rebellions in the wake of Endor. Moff Kateles launched an invasion of the Meridian Sector in hopes of rapidly seizing it from Moff Xerix and presenting its fall to the New Republic as a fait accompli and an internal affair. The New Republic didn't play along, though. Mon Mothma wanted peace even if it meant leaving most of the Outer Rim in the hands of Imperial remnants, but she also wanted to protect anyone who defected to the New Republic from Imperial retribution. And Admiral Ackbar was absolutely not going to let a precedent be set that Greater Maldrude, which stood between Calamari space and the core, was allowed to pick off New Republic Enclave sectors. Ackbar led the Rebel fleet up the Prolemian trade route to attack the Antemeridian sector's capital world of Antemeridiaz, and Greater Maldrude threw Kateles under the bus, disavowing him and his actions. The New Republic fleet was, at that point, pretty much exactly the same Rebel fleet that had won at Jakku. They'd taken some losses from that battle, but not so much that a second-tier oversector like Cerulean Spear was going to do what Death Squadron, Black Sword, and Azure Hammer put together could not. And once Greater Maldrude backed down, Moff Kateles by himself didn't stand a chance. The New Republic absolutely obliterated Antemeridian Sector's fleet and incorporated both Meridian and Antemeridian sectors into the New Republic. This was a New Republic enclave in the middle of Greater Maldrude, but the New Republic had just demonstrated a willingness to send a fleet barreling down the Prolemian trade route to protect it, and Greater Maldrude had just demonstrated an unwillingness to confront them. This whole punch into Greater Maldrude saw the whole nation collapse pretty quickly. Antemeridian sector is also home to the Kravaki species. They're pacifists who don't really have any major historical figures amongst them, but they look cool.